What if the softest parts of your life were the ones quietly killing you? Not the hard conversations, not the heartbreaks, not the uncertainty, but the peace, the safety, the quiet routines you've grown so proud of. What if comfort is not the reward, but the enemy? That's not what they told you. They told you to protect your peace, curate your environment, lower your expectations. If it doesn't feel good, cut it out. If it challenges you, maybe it's not for you. Your job, your relationship, your purpose should all come with minimal friction. And so you did it. You built a life designed to be undisturbed. A soft bed, a calm home. A morning routine with green smoothies and affirmations. A steady job that doesn't ask too much. Friends who don't disagree with you. Lovers who don't challenge you. And for a while it felt good. Until it didn't. Because there's a silence that follows ease. A silence that doesn't calm you, it flattens you. You begin to notice it between scrolls, between perfectly brewed coffees, in the middle of an uneventful weekend. Something you can't name. Something you used to call burnout. Or maybe low energy or seasonal something. But deep down you know it's something worse. It's not that you've been hurt, it's that you've been hollowed. You've stopped feeling anything. Not because you've been through too much, but because you haven't gone through anything that mattered. This is the hidden price of an easy life. It doesn't demand collapse. It doesn't explode, it just gently takes you. It removes the storms, the hunger, the pressure that made you remember who you are. And what you're left with is something clean, quiet, unbothered. And dead inside, you begin to wonder why nothing excites you anymore. Why joy has turned to mild contentment, why ambition now feels juvenile. Why even gratitude rings hollow when spoken out loud. It's not depression, it's not trauma, it's comfort. Comfort dressed as peace, comfort whispering, you're fine. Don't move, don't change, don't risk anything that might wake you up. But you were not born to be fine, you were born to burn. And this velvet-wrapped numbness you're calling your life is the enemy. Not because it's painful, but because it isn't. You don't fall apart, you fade. That's the danger of a comfortable life. There's no alarm, no visible wound. Just the slow leak of soul, day after day, until you no longer remember what it felt like to be alive. You wake up, you do the things. You check the boxes, and everyone says you're doing great. But inside, something vital is missing. It's not exhaustion, it's erosion. And here's what no one told you. There is a sickness that doesn't come from pain, but from the absence of meaning. The desert monks called it acedia, the noonday demon, a spiritual deadening. A hollowness that grows not when you're suffering, but when nothing is worth suffering for. And that's what modern comfort gives you, a life without struggle, a life without weather. A life so gentle you forget you ever had skin tough enough to feel. You convince yourself it's healing, you call it self-care. You say you're setting boundaries, you repeat the slogans, protect your energy. If it costs your peace, it's too expensive. Not my job to carry anyone else. But let me ask you something. Has all this protection made you feel more whole or more distant from yourself? You've decluttered your home, you've muted your notifications, you've created perfect calm. And yet somehow you feel more anxious than ever. That's because the soul doesn't thrive in stillness that was never earned. It thrives in friction, in expansion, in the sacred discomfort of becoming. Simone Weil, mystic philosopher and resistance fighter during World War II, refused food and comfort in solidarity with those suffering under occupation. She once wrote, "The soul empties itself of comfort, and in that poverty it becomes real." She wasn't romanticizing pain. She was revealing a truth our generation has tried to bury beneath throw blankets and digital ease. The truth is this: the more you chase peace at all costs, the more you lose the very parts of you that could ever truly feel it. Because numbness isn't peace. It's the soul's emergency signal when you've gone too long without purpose. You think you're tired because life is hard. But the real exhaustion, the one you feel in your bones, isn't from doing too much. It's from doing too little of what makes you come alive. So the next time you say, "I'm just tired," ask yourself, tired from what? Tired from living. Or tired from never really starting. There comes a moment, not loud, not dramatic, when you look around and realize you've built a life you no longer recognize. You have everything you thought would make you feel fulfilled. The job with no sharp edges. The relationship that doesn't ask too much. The routine so well oiled it runs without you. You've eliminated the stress, you've minimized the mess, you've quieted the noise. But the silence isn't peace, it's distance. A growing gap between who you are and who you were meant to become. And at first it's easy to dismiss. It shows up as mild boredom, as restlessness you blame on the weather, but then it grows. It creeps into your conversations, your creativity, your confidence. You lose your edge, not because something broke, but because nothing challenged you. You look in the mirror and there's no damage. No bruises, no scars, just a surface, smooth, untouched, and slowly unfamiliar. Because comfort doesn't destroy you, it replaces you. Piece by piece, it reshapes you into someone who forgets how to take risks, how to want deeply, how to fall and get back up with a roar. And eventually, it teaches you to fear the very thing that would have saved you: tension, resistance, pressure. We're told to avoid struggle, but struggle is sacred. It sharpens you, it reveals you. It throws light into the cracks of your soul where your real self has been waiting. James Hillman, a psychologist who believed symptoms were the soul's way of speaking, once said, "When everything is comfortable, nothing calls to us." He didn't mean suffering for suffering's sake. He meant that what we call discomfort is often just the soul's way of waking us from spiritual sleep. You begin to feel it, the pull to make a change. Not the kind you can post online. The kind that terrifies you. The kind that forces you to let go of the illusion of peace and walk back into the wild. But then the slogans come back: protect your peace. If it's meant to be, it'll feel easy. You're allowed to rest. Yes, you're allowed. But rest is not where you find yourself. It's where you recover from the fire, not where you build the flame. And this is where the mirror cracks. Because you're no longer just uncomfortable, you're unrecognizable. You remember Taiko Fujimoto, a Japanese soldier imprisoned in Siberia, stripped of every comfort. And in that brutal silence he found freedom. Not after the pain, in it. He returned to Japan not bitter, but whole. Because sometimes the only way to remember who you are is to be emptied of everything else. That's what comfort doesn't give you. The emptiness where truth begins. This is why comfort is the enemy. Not because it hurts you, but because it never asks who you are without it. You think you're resting, but really, you're rusting. This is where most people turn back. The mirror has cracked. The numbness is no longer ignorable. The silence isn't peaceful anymore. It's deafening. And for the first time, comfort begins to taste like decay. This is the moment where you either go back or go through, and everything in you will beg to go back, to re-soften, to re-shrink, to re-scroll and re-sedate and return to the familiar warmth of a life that demands nothing but your quiet compliance. But if you stay in that place too long, something worse than pain will find you. You will begin to forget that you ever had fire in you at all. And that's why the struggle matters. Not because it makes you strong, but because it makes you remember. Simone Weil, the mystic who starved in protest of comfort during World War II, wrote, "Affliction is not something to be cured. It is the fire that reveals who we are beneath the masks." She wasn't romanticizing suffering. She was reminding us that comfort hides the soul, but pressure reveals it. And if that sounds too intense, ask yourself this: has your softness made you more free or more afraid? Have all your boundaries, your bubble baths, your breathing exercises brought you closer to yourself, or just kept you from drowning? Because somewhere along the way we began to mistake healing for hiding. We began to believe the lie that growth should feel good, that transformation should be gentle, that becoming is something you can do while staying safe. But the soul knows better. The soul doesn't want safety. It wants the desert. It wants the fire. It wants the death of everything false and the slow burning resurrection of what's real. Clarissa Pinkola Estés, keeper of stories and bone memory, once wrote that too much safety shrinks the soul. That the wild woman, the deep self, is exiled not by trauma, but by routine. That the soul shrinks not from danger, but from too much safety. And we're living proof of that. We've padded our lives with so much ease, we've forgotten how to stretch, how to roar, how to sit with the sacred discomfort that comes right before the breakthrough. Peter Kingsley, the philosopher who unearthed the mystical roots of Western thought, wrote, "You were never meant to be comfortable. You were meant to be transformed, and transformation isn't clean. It doesn't come with clarity. It doesn't come in affirmations or good lighting or weekend retreats. It comes in fire, in wilderness, in grief and doubt, and the holy confrontation with your own forgotten hunger. So if you feel like you're breaking, good. That's not the end, that's the beginning. That's your soul remembering it was never meant to live in temperature control. That's the part of you that was buried under the soft routines, the quiet compromises, the subtle lies, finally coming up for air. This is not punishment, this is invitation. This is the door your comfort would never show you. This is the moment where you walk not away from pain, but into the truth it's been trying to give you. And no, it will not be easy, but it will be sacred. You've broken the mirror. You've seen through the velvet coffin. You've heard the silence not as serenity, but as absence. And now something ancient is waking up inside you. It's not loud, it's not violent, it's a quiet knowing. A hunger stirring beneath the routines. A recognition that this version of peace, the one sold in slogans and filtered photos, isn't peace at all. It's a glass box, safe, predictable, and lifeless. But you remember. You remember a different kind of stillness. The kind that came after falling, after bleeding, after rising from something you thought might break you. You remember that your greatest moments didn't come from ease. They came from friction, from the stretch, from the sacred discomfort of becoming. There's a reason monks fast, warriors bleed, artists break. It's not punishment, it's passage. It's the path that strips you of everything that's not real, so what remains is unshakable. You were never meant to be optimized. You were meant to be transformed. And that transformation doesn't come in retreat. It comes in return to the parts of you you've buried beneath comfort. The part that wants to run into the storm. The part that still believes struggle isn't a flaw, it's a forge. We forget that every great story starts with fire. Moses met his purpose in a flame. Phoenixes are born in it. Even forests regenerate through burn. And you've been circling your fire for years, afraid it might consume you, not realizing it was never there to destroy you. It was there to reveal you. So, no, you don't need a softer life. You need a stronger soul. And that doesn't come from bubble baths or breath work alone. It comes from choosing the harder path when the easier one would let you disappear. This is the moment you can go back to the golden treadmill, back to the soul-numbing safety of a frictionless existence, back to optimizing your peace while your spirit withers in silence. Or you can step into the cold. You can choose the weight, the resistance, the pain that clarifies instead of numbs. Because the soul doesn't grow in temperature control, it grows in storms. And something in you already knows this. Something in you already decided. So walk, don't wait, don't beg for clarity, don't ask for signs, don't stall for certainty, burn the map. Let the fire show you what was never yours to carry. Let the wild in you stretch its limbs. Let the mirror stay broken. Because you're not here to restore what was. You're here to become what comfort could never let you touch. You don't return to your old life, not because it's gone, but because you've changed. The map that once guided you no longer fits the terrain. The places that held you now feel too small. The people who once mirrored you now only reflect the version of you that stopped growing. You carry something else now, not clarity, not certainty, not a 5-year plan. You carry fire, not the fire that destroys, but the fire that reveals. The fire that lights the dark corner of your life where you've been hiding from your own hunger. The fire that makes you impossible to forget and unable to pretend. You've stepped off the golden treadmill. You've broken the mirror that asked you to perform peace. You've left the velvet coffin behind, and for the first time in a long time, you're no longer afraid of the weight of becoming. You know now that comfort is not the goal, because comfort is what robbed you of your depth. What taught you to flinch at resistance? What slowly convinced you that numbness was healing, that sedation was peace, and that fading away quietly was somehow a noble thing? You've seen through it. And now you remember what they tried to make you forget, that you were not born to be easy to digest. You were not born to tiptoe around challenge. You were not built to be neutral. You were built to carry fire into places still frozen in fear. So, no, you won't return to the version of you who played small for the sake of peace. You won't shrink just to fit back into lives that made your wildness feel like a liability. You return as something else. You return as proof that struggle doesn't ruin you, it awakens you. You return not just with lessons, but with presence. The kind of presence that doesn't need to speak loudly because it was earned in silence. The kind that makes people pause when you walk in, not because you're performing, but because you've survived your own forgetting. And maybe you still don't know what's next. Maybe the map is still burning. Good. Because maps can only show you where others have gone. But you were meant to go where no one has dared. So walk into the unmarked places, say yes to the thing that still scares you. Let your next chapter be written not in goals, but in ashes and roots and stars you don't yet recognize. And if this cracked something open in you, don't go back to sleep. Share it, send it. Someone else out there is dying in silence, dying in safety, waiting for a spark, waiting for someone like you to say, I walked through the fire. And it didn't kill me, it made me real.